Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this new masterclass at Melting Spot. We're super excited to have you here. My name is Seb. I'm founder and COO at Melting Spot. We're a community platform designed to help companies, and more specifically SaaS companies, start, grow, and engage customer communities online. And I'm excited to discuss today a super hot topic in SaaS, which is the emerging role of digital customer success. Some of you might be very familiar with the concept. Some of you are probably discovering this new concept. So very, very excited to share insights on this particular topic. You're tuning in from different platforms, including LinkedIn. I'm checking comments and questions in the chat, so feel free to ask any questions, jump in the discussion, share any comments or questions you might have in the chat section on LinkedIn. If you're following us on one of the Melting Spot communities, feel free to do the same. Just drop your comments and questions in the chat on the right-hand side. And I'll be checking comments and questions live, and I'll be answering all these questions as we go, so you have the best possible experience today in the next 25 minutes that we will be spending together. So exciting times in SaaS. We're seeing the emergence of a number of trends in the way that we communicate and engage with our customers. And we're seeing the rise of a new function in the customer success landscape, which is digital customer success. So let's dive right into it and start unveiling this exciting topic. First off, let's start with a very quick introduction. I'll be sharing one particular metric, which I found quite insightful from the global survey that we ran in the last few months, called the State of the CSM Nation 2023 survey. We polled about 1,000, a bit more, I guess, 1,200 different customer success professionals around the world, and we asked a few questions, including what's your number one priority, and 60% of customer success pros consider scaling CS activities as their number one priority. For most of them, customer success is a one-to-one, time-consuming activity, and they're looking for ways to improve and scale the way they engage their customers. So that's actually where digital customer success comes in. And we describe it best as the most advanced target operating model for scaling CS activities. The idea is that on the spectrum of very low touch to very high touch customer success, digital CS is right down the bottom in the low touch category, where in a place where you're able to engage your customers with limited human effort, and yet that human touch that you need when you serve customers. So that's what it's all about. And we'll be sharing, this session is going to be very practical. We'll be sharing tips and tricks for setting up a digital customer success function, sorry. And we'll be sharing insights from the various projects that we worked on, rolling out low-touch customer success strategies in SaaS. And hopefully you'll find it insightful. And again, feel free to ask any questions. I'm just going to check very quickly if there's, speaking of questions, if there's any questions in the chat. I think we're good. I see there's a few comments here and there. Good to have you on my side, Gwen. Thanks for being here. And just checking here if there's any questions. I think we're all good so far. Good. Okay. Okay. Well, now that we've introduced the topic, let me start with with the differences between traditional high-touch customer success models and digital customer success. The idea is that in a digital CS environment, one-on-one interactions are kept to a minimum. Because they're time consuming, and they, most of the time with this particular type of customers, they are best addressed with a one-to-many approach. And so better alternatives include one-to-many approaches. So typically webinars is a great way to do one-to-many customer success activities. For example, you might use a webinar to educate your customers on a particular trend on the market, or to showcase a new a new feature in your product or within your service suite. So webinars, bulk messages, so the ability to drop a quick note to a particular customer, but drop the same note to the entire cohort of lookalike customers in your customer base. So it could be chronologically constructed cohorts, like all your customers that have been onboarded in the last few weeks, in the last 2 or 3 weeks. You might want to message these guys like as a group, or it could be customers that you've grouped by ARRs, like high yielding customers or low ARR customers. So it could be customers by geography if it's relevant to your business. Like whichever way you slice and dice your audience, there's one too many opportunities to talk to these people. And many to many approaches are also interesting. You might consider setting up a forum to let your customers talk to each other, or like set up a full-fledged customer community encompassing forums, one-on-one interactions, as well as live online events, and a resource hub that you might want to add to the experience as well. So these are great alternatives to one-on-one interactions. And we'll see in like just a moment why it's important to leverage low touch activities and digital customer success activities. This bow tie framework is very is very well known in the customer success industry. Essentially, on the left hand side, you have all the levers that you can action to drive prospects to buy your products. At the center, it's closing time. It's when you lock your prospect and turn them into a using customer and a paying customer. And then on the right hand side, that's where. So the left hand side is essentially the marketing and sales funnel that we're all familiar with. On the right hand side, there's actually a different funnel expanding to the right, with onboarding, adoption, and expansion. The idea being, when your customer starts using your product, that's only the beginning of their journey, of their customer success journey. And you want to properly onboard them, make sure they adopt your product, they start using it for real, and they start seeing benefit from using it, which will then drive expansion. So in the form of upsells, maybe more licenses sold to one particular customer, or maybe like upgrades. Anyway, these customers will start expanding if they're served properly on the right hand side, on the customer success side. And on this side of the spectrum, there's high touch, but there's also a lot of low touch customer success activities to be performed, with the 80-20 rule. So you definitely don't want to underestimate the power of low touch and digital customer success strategies, which we'll be talking through in more detail just now. I'm just checking that everyone's okay with this concept. That's what we call the bow tie framework, customer success framework. Let me just check very briefly that we're all set in the chat. I think we're good. Terrific. Okay. Right. Let's dive into the very practical topics and tips and tricks for starting a digital customer success function. First off, when you think of your onboarding education journeys, make sure you don't go for a one-size-fits-all. Do not draw and map a single onboarding and education journey. Make sure with every step of this journey, there's variations that you're able to play with based on the customers that you're engaging. And so one too many doesn't mean everyone gets the same message in bulk. It means that you're able to perform activities at scale, but within the right groups, within the right cohorts. So it doesn't mean no personalization. On the contrary, it means personalization at scale. And so I see there's a question here from Camille, who would like to know what are the key performance indicators that should be monitored to measure the success of low touch approach in customer success. That's a really good one. So which KPIs to track? Essentially, since you're engaging your customers in a digital environment, you need to track engagement with whatever content you serve to your customers. So if you're inviting your customers to an onboarding session, who's registering, who's attending, so show rate, sign up rate, and show rate. If you're sharing content in the shape of article, or if you're starting asynchronous communication in a forum, you need to check the number of messages exchanged, the number of reactions, some very practical metrics that you can follow to make sure that whatever message you're delivering to your customers, it's read, it's engaged with, and so that's the kind of metrics that you want to check, Camille. Hope that shed some light on the topic. Feel free to elaborate if you think that I haven't provided enough explanations and the right answer to your question. So back to the one size doesn't fit all topic. In the onboarding phase, which is the beginning of the right-hand side of the bow tie, we talked about webinars. I think they're a great way to onboard people. They're quite top-down, so it's a great way to slowly but surely engage with your customers in the digital world. But also, like, feel free to share best practice sharing essentials. This could be in the form of a group onboarding session where everyone comes in sharing their challenges, like sharing audio and video, making sure that everyone is welcome to ask questions and explain why they're using your service or your software. And so this is a great way to make sure that you very quickly help share best practices and leverage the horizontal communication within your customer base. It's something very powerful that we'll be touching on in a moment. In the adoption phase, that's where you start promoting peer-to-peer discussions and using that horizontal communication we just talked about. Specifically, when you try to be more technical, sorry. So let's say you work in SaaS, you want to help your customers use your software. If you want to start getting technical, try and leverage as much as possible other customers' experiences. That's a great way to touch on technical topics, and sort of don't come top down, dropping all your technical dump to try and engage and activate your customers. Let other customers actually share experiences. It's a lot more powerful and a lot more efficient from an education perspective. And in the expansion phase, which is the far end of the right-hand side of the bow tie, that's where you can start sort of getting your customers into your own, and embarking your customers in your vision, in the future of your product and services. Share your roadmap. Ideally, there's whatever customer community software you use, there's a place where you can embed your roadmap. And why not host new feature release presentations? Like at Melting Spot, we actually host these sessions every month. Like we share the new features that we recently released. And so it's a great way to educate your customers on your product in an innovative and fun way, where everyone, again, is welcome to share audio and camera and ask their questions on the fly. So in this session, I recommend you invite the product marketing team, because they like to talk and they like to showcase their work. So make sure you invite these guys along in these live feature release presentations. So hopefully that's clear. I'm just going to again check the chat. Pia is reacting in the chat saying it's not easy to maintain a balance between automation and human interaction and low touch approach. That's fair enough. Again, back to what I was saying earlier, doing things at scale doesn't mean you have to be very flat, and you're more than welcome to add a fun tone of voice. Make sure you don't send the exact same message to everyone, personalize as much as possible. And PI is also saying it's not simple to find a tool that allows to track all members' activities. Well, good news is Melting Spot is able to do this. So feel free to check out our website, meltingspot.io, and we'll be sharing a link to our to our website in the chat as well to make sure that you can check us out. It's very important that whatever engagement, whatever communication you're having with your customers, you're able to measure, to check that this message is properly delivered. So I can't emphasize enough on that point. Let's then move on to the second part of our tips and tricks presentation. Content still is king. So education content, onboarding content is critical. You want to make sure you map all the content you need to educate your customers, not simply in the onboarding phase, but throughout the whole customer engagement journey. So an onboarding doesn't stop at like week 3 or week 4 of using the product. With every new product feature that you're releasing, there's a new onboarding phase that unfolds. So you want to make sure that that onboarding is properly mapped throughout your product journey, and also use as much content as possible to reassure your customers. So try and invite subject matter experts to talk, to provide some reassurance and unbiased advice to your customers. Also, try and involve your customers themselves. So why not invite a few customers to testify? Not to testify, but to offer a testimonial and provide insights into how they're using your product and service. It's good to balance top-down content and horizontal content coming from other users of your service or platform. So don't underestimate your content. Tip number 3, try and generate true engagement. So do not solely use top-down communication. As I just said, make sure you use user-generated content and let your customers jump in every now and then. And make sure you measure client interactions with your content to evaluate engagement. So typically you want to track email opening and click-through rates if you're using emails, which I don't recommend you do. At least I recommend you don't use emails only. You also want to check event attendance. If you're hosting regular workshops and webinars, you want to make sure that people are actually showing up. Reaction to your messages. If you're using a forum, if your users, customers are posting questions in the forum, track reactions and replies to these questions. If you're using polls, make sure you try responses and share these responses as good intel for your customers, as well as number of views on your content. Try and avoid, as possible, a very practical tip, try and avoid diluting customer engagement across a number of different platforms. We're all tempted to start to use a separate tool for every single aspect of our education strategy, like a tool for your webinars, a tool for your support forum, a tool for your help desk, a blog for top of funnel content. This is great for your team, but it's not so great for your customers that are like that have to juggle a number of different tools. So try as much as possible to centralize your content, and also try and embed your education and support materials inside your own product and services. The idea behind this is you don't want to move your customers away from your product. It's hard enough to get your customers to engage with your own product and software. So don't push them to a separate tool. Typically, Melting Spot exists in an embedded instance, so you're able to integrate the Melting Spot experience inside your app, which is the little picture here on the right hand side. You're seeing that inside your product on the left hand side, you can click community and then unfold the experience, which is a great way to make sure you don't move your customers out of your own interface. I think there's a few questions Sorry. Okay, Paul is asking, do you have any concrete ideas for ways to make your customers understand they have a real interest in being active with the community? How can we make them understand that it's not a waste of time? Okay. The idea is that you need to make sure that whenever your customers give something, they also get something. And typically, if they participate in a forum discussion, in exchange, like they get notified for every other response or every other insight that has been shared on the topic, which is a great way to sort of encourage them to participate so that they won't miss out on any interesting insights. Yeah, also, why not give your customers a shout when they're highly active? Surely there's somewhere in your customer community platform where you're able to filter customers by last activity date. So pick the most active customers, and so give them a shout out, thank them for contributing, make sure they feel rewarded and recognized for their contribution. Thanks, Paul. Great question. Moving on to communication. A very interesting KPI that we got from our State of the CSM Nation 2023 survey. 90% of customer success pros use email and phone as their preferred customer communication channel. And guess what? 76 people of B2B leaders do not want to be contacted on their email. So there's clearly a disconnect between the channel of choice of customer success pros and the channel of choice of software users and B2B software users. So here we've suggested a few alternatives. You might want to push information in your knowledge base or your help desk. You might have a chatbot inside your product to let your customers ask questions and get automated replies. You might want to use product tools, these tools that sort of offer an overlay of your own software experience to onboard your customers, explain what they can do. So click here to do this, click there to do that. You might want to use a learning management system as well to share masterclasses and centralize your education content. But our best alternative here is to have a proper customer community where you centralize your customers and your content, such as Melting Spot. And whatever channel you use, make sure you let your customers have a say, because that's where you'll be able to identify their real needs and challenges. And that's where you also be able to identify upsell opportunities. If you're able to address these needs, it might come with an upgrade and additional revenue for you. From an HR perspective, there's a question that comes in very quickly when we talk about digital customer success is where this digital CS function sit. So it sits under customer success for sure, but how do you coordinate the work of a digital CS with your traditional CSM and your content creators? There's 3 dimensions you need to consider. The skills, and typically a digital CS is someone who's very comfortable with low code, no code concepts and frameworks. Tooling is important as well. These people need to be very comfortable using tools such as a customer success platform, a customer community platform, and they also need to be able to quickly crush data. They need to have very good knowledge of Excel and probably SQL skills as well, to make sure that they're able to quickly identify highly engaged customers or poorly engaged customers. And typically, you need to make sure that digital CS is able to work hand in hand with your CS function and your content creator function. So typically, a digital CS will probably take content created by the marketing team or the content team and adjust it to the digital CS segment inside your customer base, and also that they're able to increase the number of touch points. So typical approach being 1-to-1, they're able to increase using 1-to-many and many-to-many approaches. And as I said, very familiar with data crunching as a whole. So That's pretty much the key areas of focus we wanted to cover today. We're right on time. There's one more minute to make sure we're able to answer your questions. Hopefully, we've convinced you that if you're in the B2B environment and specifically in the B2B SaaS environment, digital CS is the best way to scale your customer success activities and make sure you engage, activate, and retain your customers in an efficient manner without doubling down on customer success headcount. So I see there's no further questions. So feel free to drop your questions in the chat even after this live. All chat, all the posts and messages published in the chat will be notified to myself. So I'll be happy to provide answers and insights. So feel free to keep interacting in the chat, and we'll be very happy to provide insights as required. That's it for now. We have 2 other masterclasses coming up, so stay tuned. Everything will take place on the same platform you're on today. So if you're following us on Melting Spot, check out the lives in the live tab, and check out our LinkedIn page if you prefer to follow us on LinkedIn. And very excited to keep this series of masterclasses rolling. Thanks for tuning in, and look forward to seeing you in a few days. Speak to you soon. Cheers. Bye bye.